Okay, I'm here with Chris Smith, who is the producer and director behind Buying Time, the feature film we just had here, day 2. Thank you very much for joining us, Chris.
Thank you for playing the film.
You're very welcome. How did this film come about in the first place? How did you start collaborating with the writer of the film? Is Andy, is that right?
Yeah, Andy, who's the lead of the film.
Mm-hmm.
We made a short film together, which was titled New Year's Eve, which was like a thriller film. And we worked so well together on it. He came back to me and said, I've written a film, this feature film. It's set in a dystopian sort of world where, you know, chips sort of come in and it extends your life, it shortens your life. And he sort of pitched it to me, and my first impressions were like, this is ridiculously ambitious to do. Right. And I sort of said to him, how are we going to do this with zero money or anything like that? And he came back and said, well, we'll figure something out with it. So he lives in Devon, and the whole thing is shot in Norwich basically, and that's where I'm based at. And he would come down from Devon and bring the equipment and all that, and we'd team up with, you started off with the 3 of us, which is myself and Andy and Darren Joy, who's with us as well. And we started shooting from there, and then it just got bigger and bigger as it went on. He would come down for like 10 days, and we'd shoot in 10 consecutive days, and he would come back again, and we'd shoot more. And so it took within like just less than a year that we, from start to finish, basically.
How many drafts of the script did you go through, or how involved were you at that stage as well?
A bit through it. He came back to me with the script, and basically the ending was very different to what it was that you see. It came across a bit abrupt. It just kind of just ends, and I've said to him we need a bit more of a kick to the ending, hence why it's a gunfight scene. For it needs a bit of an epic conclusion to it, so instead of just how it originally ended. So we've probably done about 4 or 5 drafts or something like that. Right. And it was sometimes as it went on with the script, you know, as we were shooting, we're like, now that we filmed this, it probably makes more sense if we add this bit in and stuff like that. So there's a scene where Daniel and Tessa are at the bench together, and I said to them it would be really good to have a really sentimental moment between the characters, because at the minute it's all just intense, and said to them, you know, it's good to have showing a bit of feelings for the characters and stuff like that. So.
How did you gain your locations? What kind of strings did you have to pull? Favours?
We kind of would just come in on the spot and literally would say, do you mind if we film or credit you for film? And they would more or less be happy with it. Yeah. There were some places that would just flat out refuse to let us film, so we'd have to have a plan B. And like there's a lawyer firm that was used as the Lifeline headquarters. That was probably the most impressive one we got, because that was exactly what we wanted. But everything else, if they just said no or they let us down last minute, we'd have to find another place last minute, basically. Sure.
Is that kind of thing the biggest challenge that you faced, or was there other challenges with this film?
Getting everybody together is really hard, especially when there's characters of more than like 5 together. That's always challenging to do. But I would say location's always the hardest, especially when you've got 0 money. Yeah. But you'd be surprised how many people are just willing to help and just want to put their name into it for something that's creative and collaborative in a project, really. So.
Yeah, it's good to hear. What was your greatest expense on the film?
Again, just working together as a team, really, and working towards a deadline, and that's always been the challenging part of it, and keeping things on time and making sure that we get enough footage done as quickly and efficient as possible. And just making sure, and everybody did it for nothing. That was the thing. Nobody got paid. Very little expenses were covered, and I think we had a budget of something like between 1,000 to 1,500 or something like that. That was spread across the year, and that to me is handling the money towards that, what goes where and stuff like that. So one of them,
And post-production, Do you do that yourself, the editing part and all that kind of stuff?
No, literally zero input unless I supervise it. So literally Andy, who plays the lead and wrote it, he edited it together as well, and he would send over a draft. And I would always have some sort of input on it, like that now doesn't make sense, or that noise level is too high, or make the bit shorter or something like that, and they would, he would come back and he would always listen to it, or we'd always have debates and stuff like that. We'd never argued or anything like that. And, but he would edit it as he goes along as well. So he would come down to Norwich, literally film something, and come back in the next 2 days and say it's all done. So he's a machine basically. He just never stops. Yeah.
What's your most satisfying moment when you see the film back on a big screen like this one? What's the most, you think, oh yeah, I'm really happy with that moment or that particular shot or decision?
I'm usually very self-critical of the films that I'm involved in behind the camera. The one that I really like is everything. Whenever Darren helps out with the film has always been something I'm always proud of. There's a shot where Daniel comes back home and he shuts the door behind him, and then a slow tracking shot getting closer to him, and it plays like this heavy metal music backwards, and that's like a spontaneous idea that we just had, and it just sort of builds up the tension. But to me, I felt like that when I was looking through the monitor, I was like, I'm so proud of this one.
Right.
We'll milk that shot as much as we can in trailers, and so that's probably the one I always feel brilliant about that shot basically.
Was there any films or TV or anything like that that maybe influenced this film, either consciously or, now it's finished, you think, oh okay, maybe that's where that idea came from?
Kind of, yeah. There's things that when Andy pitched it, he always said, think that this means this, but we always talked about In Time with Justin Timberlake and Amanda Seyfried, I think. The concept of time and how it's all precious and all that type of stuff and expands. I think a lot of Black Mirror is thrown into it as well. Like, I don't think Andy was much of a fan of it as I was, but everything about that, the use of technology and what it could be in the future.
And the conspiracy part of it as well, right? Because there's a few government conspiracy episodes of Black Mirror that I was thinking of actually.
Yeah, exactly, things like that, all the political side of things and how technology gets hacked. It's a bit similar to that, basically. So I think as we just went along, we were watching stuff, but yeah, I'd say those two were the strongest points as we were making the film.
What are you working on next? And also, second part of that question, if someone gave you an unlimited budget, what film would you love to make one day?
Oh, I like that. Film that we're making at the minute, we're going to wrap it in July. It's called Diamond Dogs, and it's got more or less the same people from Buying Time. We was all networking as you do, and it's a comedy about a group of crooks, unlikely rogues that meet up together again for one last heist, that type of. But we're throwing in a load more jokes in and stuff like that, and there's a bit of a twist at the end, but I don't want to reveal too much. But it's like an elaborate diamond heist. And the second part of your question, unlimited budget, probably like a period piece drama or a war film. I really would love to tackle something like that, but obviously, and that sounds like a nightmare unless you had the money, so probably that one.
What period would you choose for your period film?
Something like in Jane Austen times, do you know what I mean? Like Jane Eyre or Wuthering Heights. I'd love to do like an adaptation of like one of the books or something like that. Dealing with horses and
one random last question as well, just on that same note. Who would you cast if you could cast anyone? Who would you love to work with, actor-wise?
There's so many. I would probably say who I would throw in there. Today I'm going to say Gary Oldman, just because the man is a chameleon and would have morphed into any part that would blend into it. So I'd easily say Gary Oldman. Yeah.
Gary Oldman in period dress. I can see it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd watch it. That's all we've got time for now. But Chris, thank you so much for coming and submitting your film, representing
Thank
me,
you.
talking to me now. Can I have a round of applause, please, for Chris? Thank you.